Here we go.
Ding ding kids.
50.
My leg!
50.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
50.
It's raining man.
Oh, my back.
50.
I'm gonna fart so hard. Oh my god.
Get off the ground. I'm a bad man.
In terms of, I think as men, we are given this blueprint, right? Of what it means to be a man. And when we say that, a quote unquote manly man. And when we fall short of that, you know, that's where the trouble comes in. Because one, though, it's just as we talked about with the show where we talked about retirement, we have to define what that looks like for us. Right. Because we all have different experiences, we bring a different history, and our lives are different. And so it's going to mean a different, being a man means something different to different men, believe it or not.
Right.
You know?
So I've
and I think, and hang on one second. So and now again, even with social media, especially now, even when you look at some of this of what's kind of going on now in our world, in the U.S. in particular, you have these images of men, of manhood being put forth that are really kind of false, especially now with the person that's in the White House kind of leading the way, and some people that kind of follow him, they have this sense of masculinity and manhood that is, you know, is not positive to me. So we have to understand and be comfortable with who we are,
Right.
as an individual. And, you know, we know, again, for us as Christians, we know how we should treat people, how we're to love people, because we're told love God first and love people, right?
Yep.
And that does mean, you know, we can be honest, we can be respectful, but we can disagree, we can be civil. And so I think...
And not be in conflict.
Although, or not be in unconstructive conflict.
Unconstructive conflict.
Yeah, I agree with that. 'Cause
Right.
conflict in and of itself.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, and it ain't always bad.
It's not always bad.
One of the greatest lines from one of the best movies I've ever seen with Denzel Washington is when he played Stephen Biko. And he was in court pleading his case, and the magistrate was saying how his rhetoric and his position created so much conflict, and that's why he was wrong. And Denzel, as Stephen Biko said, well, you and I are disagreeing right now, but yet I see no conflict.
Yep.
So here's our live, on-air, real-time homework assignment. You talked about what does it mean to be a man. Let's give some constructive thought to those men that are watching us now. I'll start with you, Mike.
What? What you want me to say?
Here's the question. Is there a philosophy of manhood you had growing up that you realize now as a 50-something-year-old was not positive and you've changed? What was that?
The challenge for me, I didn't have any men in my home, so I grew up with women.
Okay.
So the male influences in my life were like teachers and people like that.
Okay.
And one in particular, when I was in high school, I remember some of the things he taught me, but it wasn't specifically about manhood. It was more like a person. You need to be this type of person. And it wasn't.
What type of person?
Well,
was
there's
that?
qualities that you should try to strive to have in your life.
Pulling this out of you, like give me
honesty, integrity, hard work, things like that. but I don't see those as being gender specific. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
But as a man, that was your experience of what it meant to be a man, is to have those qualities.
I, I don't think I've ever had that somebody, hey, this is what you need to do to be a man. I've never had that.
So what did you think it was to be a man when you were growing up?
See, I never thought in those terms, honestly.
Okay, no, I get
And I
that.
think it's because again, I was raised by 5 women.
Mm-hmm.
So my father wasn't involved with me at all. So I didn't have any, and all they taught me was, hey, you gotta, just work hard, work. The work ethic is what they taught. And don't do nothing stupid. Don't get in trouble.
Gotcha.
Those were the big things. But other than that, it was no sitting, you know what I mean? It's like, 'cause when you ask that question, I envision a guy sitting down with another man and having a talk and, this man imparting wisdom. And I didn't have
Well,
that.
and even not so much someone giving it to you, but what you developed as your own ideology around what it meant to
Well,
be a
one
man.
big thing was I made a vow whenever I had kids, I was going to be in their life no matter
Gotcha.
what.
Okay,
To me, so that's probably the thing for me
gotcha.
as a man. If you got kids, you need to be in your kids' life in a positive way.
Honorable.
And I was determined not to be like my dad was, which is a weird motivation.
No,
You know?
very understandable motivation.
But that still drives me to this day. That's why parenting, I look at it differently than probably my wife. Because I'm like, I'm gonna be there for my sons no matter how old they are. I don't care. I'm gonna be, as long as they're not out here doing crazy stuff and taking advantage of me and asking me for crazy. When they do, and neither one of them really ask me for things, but when they do, hey, Dad, I need help with XYZ, I'm there, bro.
Gotcha.
I don't care what anybody says. I don't care.
Gotcha.
Because I'm like, you do yours the way you want to. I'm doing mine like this.
Gotcha. What
So,
about?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm done. That's it.
So I'll pose the same question to you, Derek. What was your ideology of manhood growing up that you see differently now as a 50-something-year-old, today's day and age?
Well, yeah, my dad was there, no question. Probably the greatest influence in my life. Obviously,
Great man.
second
Great man.
to God.
Mm-hmm.
Taught me he led by example.
Mm-hmm.
He did not share his feelings a lot, which I think was, he bottled it up, I think. And I know that I do the same or have done the same. But definitely hard work, just an incredible work ethic, extremely smart, treated people extremely kind. He was very respectful. He had a way of making you feel like you were the only person in the room and talking to, and several people that have, I know Mike interacting with my dad. I know my cousin, several of the cousins, but one in particular, she said he just always made me feel, and of course my wife, and he adored my wife, and so she always talks about how he made her feel, and I just really learned from him how to lead, and lead respectfully. There have been people that we've run into that were part of the organization where he worked, where he led a team, a huge team of people. There are people years that we would run into from time to time at different events, and they were just like, "Your dad was so nice. He was just so kind. He would be firm, and he'd be honest, but he said the way he treated me, and then I at the facility, there was this one particular facility where he was the top dog. And they said, and like a number of people said, he treated the janitor like he treated his boss.
Gotcha.
And I've always taken that. And again, he just led by example. He did not share his feelings a whole lot. and I know I got that from him. But he was, obviously I deified him to an extent. I mean, I did, and I do my mom as well.
Yeah.
But I think the older I've gotten, I've realized, he was human.
Yeah.
Because we all have our challenges and our issues that we could work on. I think what I have learned is to allow those feelings, those emotions, just being honest with myself and acknowledging, hey, I'm not feeling it today. I'm upset. I'm sad. I'm whatever, and just even verbalizing that and acknowledging that. And he wasn't a big one to say I love you or share his feelings, but certainly I try to do that. I'm not the best, but definitely with conversations with my family, it is I love you. So I think just trying to acknowledge those feelings, be comfortable with that acknowledgement. And one of the other things I learned, and I'm really understanding more now. He did not care what you thought about him, because he said, "I'm going to treat you a certain way, right? And I'm going to treat you that way until regardless of how you treat me, and unless it's just super egregious, I'm going on right here, and I'm running my race." He said, "I'm not trying to run anybody else's race." Right. And so the more as I age, I really understand it. One of the funny things, I mean, he has several funny instances and sayings, as you guys know. But one of the things I'll never forget, one Father's Day, ironically, I said, "Hey, Father's Day, what do you want?" And he said, "I want y'all to leave the house."
Oh, my kind of guy.
For good or
No, he said
temporarily?
at least just for the day.
No,
He
okay.
said, "I want y'all to leave the house."
My kind of guy.
In other words, get to stepping.
So it's just like I just want to be by myself.
Wow.
Again, just hey, I've learned quite a bit. I learned quite a bit, obviously.
Oh man.
So now we go ahead. I was going to turn the question to you.
As I learned later on in life, the value of your manhood is in the life you bring to your environment, the things that you do to edify, the things that you do to grow, enhance those people in your environment, like your dad did, obviously, and your environment in general. That's the legacy of a man that really means something. One of the things that I grew up in, I got issues, man. I had issues as a kid.
Hey,
I grew up in the boogie down, in the projects.
I'm about to say.
One of the things I put a lot of value on was how violent I could be. The more violent I was, the more of a man I was.
Violent.
Violent, yes. I know
Who's he being
this
violent
calm,
against?
cool, collected gentleman you see before you today.
And don't jump over here, man.
You would never
Don't jump
think
over
so.
I'll fight you.
I could throw some hands, as the young folks say. And I was intentionally confrontational and violent as a youngster. Getting involved with gangs behind my parents' back. Right, getting involved in, drug paraphernalia and stuff behind my parents' back. Wow. Don't look at me the wrong way, because if you do, then you tested my manhood.
Right.
And that just came out of growing up in the boogie down and watching people shot, stabbed, killed, stepping over bodies, getting off the 2 train at Prospect Avenue, coming home from school. Violence was the way you survived. And the more violent you are, I guess it was akin to a prison mentality, right? The more violent you were, the less people mess with you. And I realized that, once again, the true essence of a man is rooted in not the violence and chaos he can create, but the peace that comes through him to his environment. You know, be your wife's peace. You know, you're not always going to be, but try to be your children's peace, or at least a safe place for them to land whenever they need to. Right. There's nothing, like you said about taking care of your kids, Mike. There's nothing my children could ever do in this life. Anything you can put fill in the blank. There's nothing they could ever do that would make me stop loving them and make me stop showing up for them. Now, I may have a disagreement when I show up, but if it's a matter of making sure you survive and you're okay, I'm 150% in. Pinch my nose, jumping in. You don't even have to ask me twice. When it comes to my children, when it comes to my family, really, that's kind of how I. And there are some family members that you're like, you just need to go over there with that. Everyone has those.
Everyone has those.
Interestingly enough, finances, wealth wasn't part of that because we were poor. Right? It didn't occur to me that, you know, that somehow, you know, was evidence of manhood.
Stop high side.